talk about representation, is it important with regard to the inclusion of community members? But when we also talk about representation, we're also talking about diversity. We're talking about things like equity, inclusivity. And so that is also incredibly important within research. And so while we're advocating for the participation of community members in our research and wanting to see and make sure that we're affecting people in a good way, we also have to make sure that within that representation, it is representative of what communities look like, and that is diverse. Representation matters. Representation and belonging everywhere matters, not only to you as a scientist and a researcher, but also front-facing to the community that you're working with. Being able to be reflective and to see yourself in places, regardless of who you are, whether it's research or leadership or anything, it is representation and belonging are important. And so, always want to make sure that those tools are thrown in there with respect and accountability, because that's where it matters as well. Yes, I think that, there's a lot of examples. I mean, again, shout out to Henrietta Lacks and her immortal HeLa cells, but that is a great representation of how a lack of respect and accountability in research and a lack of representation and belonging has led to generations down the line of scientists, researchers not knowing where these cells come from, but these same people not being included in the research that we're looking to find out about. So why aren't there more Black and brown bodies that are included in women's health research? Why are we really looking for tissue samples from minority representatives so that we can understand their disease prognosis and diagnosis and morbidity and all of those things? Because what we do see on the back end is their statistics for incidence of disease are incredibly high. So there's a disconnect there, and so again, representation and belonging matters. And, that's just one of many examples in scientific research where the begin goal definitely doesn't equal the end goal, and how we can really create a better trusted relationship going forward so that we see different evidence in our future science.
I agree. The thing that popped into my mind with respect to not having someone at the table, there are a couple reasons. One, their perspective, whether they are from, if you're doing research in a more rural area and they're from a more urban area, or if you're urban and they're rural, if you come from money and private schools and someone else comes from, a little schoolhouse and food stamps, it is a different experience, and that experience enriches the research that goes on. So that, for example, a nutritionist, perhaps they would do nutrition on what they grew up or what they learned in school, and they don't have anybody different around the table. But what if someone comes in from a different culture and grew up with different foods, with different spices? How do we make their culturally accepted food more healthy? And so having people around the table brings all of that in. I just thought of that off the top of my head, so nutritionists, forgive me. It's just an example of having more people expands like what is healthy, not just apples and oranges and grapes, right? Maybe we need to think about different things that aren't on our table at home.
I agree with you, but now I can't get fast food after this. For you, the researcher or scientist that's watching this, I hope you learned a lot today. But the most important thing that I hope you learned was how valuable community members and their lived experience is to your project or research. So go out and do great work with the community that you're around. And if nothing else, remember that Deron sent you. For more information about iTHRIV and team science, please visit our website.